Hello again, hockey fans. Are you ready to brave the wild with me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan? Brave the Wild is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps and also part of the Hockey Podcast Network, THPN. We really thank Dylan and Kyle for having us on board that awesome network coming out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And I always thank all of you for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. The sun is beating on my head right now. I'm getting kind of sweaty, which is sad but true. I got the windows open here. And, well, here we are. We are back together again. The man, the myth, the legend, Derek Felska joins Brave the Wild once again.
Thanks for having me. I wish I could say it was actually the sun was beating on my head right now because it's overcast here in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the sun remains elusive here in South Central Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's that magical time of year where it's either kind of pretty or it's really, really dreary.
Yeah, it's dreary here.
And in a lot of ways, that sounds like the wild season. It really
Certainly,
does.
that's a great segue.
Yep. It's like, hey, everything is so sunny. Look how well they're playing. Oh, he's hurt, and he's hurt, and they lost 5-1, and they lost 2-0, they lost 3-0, they lost 5-1. It's like, oh, come on.
It's feast or famine.
Hmm.
I mean, that's kind of what you see. They either find a way to score 4 goals or one.
Hmm.
And too many times it's really been one. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who's between the pipes. If you're only able to, you're not going to win too many 1-goal games. You just won't score in one. So they got to figure it out, and they seem to be feeling the pressure a little bit now.
Yeah, they're definitely feeling the pressure, and as we're going to get into later, you can kind of sense Bill Guerin's feeling pressure as well with some of the tensions he's had, but we'll save that for a little bit before we jump into that part. Yep, going to be a topical type of a show today, and you could say a lot similar to what Derek brings from the Crease Assist podcast, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we're actually going to record tomorrow, and
Cool.
maybe this sounds rather audacious of us given what we just said about the current trajectory of the team, but we're actually going to talk a little bit about the playoffs.
Hmm. Playoffs? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
There I go again.
very Jim Mora classic.
Hmm.
Playoffs?
I just hope we
You
win the
talk
game,
about playoffs?
Yeah.
But no, I mean the Wild are in a weird place, obviously, and right now I don't think there's a lot of confidence anywhere
No.
for any of the possible matchups. So it might make for kind of a show where you feel like you're bringing a knife to the gunfight no matter who you match up against, but that's kind of where we're at. So that's what we're looking forward to, at least from our show's perspective. And the other thing I just want to say before I get any farther, thank you so much for all of your continued support and for pushing the word out there about it. I really appreciate it. We don't really we don't really ask people to subscribe or even like rate our podcast or whatever. I guess I kind of feel like if you like us, you'll like us and you keep listening, or if you don't, you don't, and we don't really dwell on that too much. But we certainly have heard back from a lot of people, and that's always encouraging, of course.
Yeah, that's awesome when you're able to get some kind of response, and because like the worst thing in any be it sports, any form of entertainment, being it a podcast, TV, is the word apathy, and it's like it's bad enough if people are like, oh, I hate you or whatever, but it feels almost worse when people don't even care. It's like, oh, great, that's the worst.
Like your team loses 5-1, and the fans don't even have the heart to boo.
Yeah, they're just like,
or it usually means most of them have already walked out of the building.
Yeah, it's just empty. It's dead. Kind of like
they've already given up.
Mm-hmm.
They value getting in their car more than watching you.
Mm-hmm. Like, I gotta get out of here before the traffic. That's about all they do.
Or I've seen enough of this crap. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. Looks like similar to like a Wolves playoff game versus the Spurs many years ago. I was just like, oh, that was depressing. Like, I think it was like we had our hopes up a little bit. The Wolves had just tied the series in San Antonio and then come
Mm,
back and get obliterated by 30. And
yeah.
I probably mentioned this once or twice, either on this show or Timberwolves Explosion, probably both. Like, I swear I saw what looked like a cloud of fizz in the air. I think somebody threw an entire beer like from the stands. I was like, oh my God. They were like pissed off. I was like, okay, it's
Yeah.
raining.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the Minnesota Wild, even throughout this entire season, have not really given home fans a lot to really cheer for. I mean, they
Nope.
are under 500 as a home team, which, again, as far as the playoffs go, I guess if you want to call it a silver lining, uh, not having home ice advantage probably is beneficial.
God, yeah.
You know, where because they traditionally have not performed well at home.
Yeah,
So
forever.
you don't necessarily mind being the team that's going to likely not have home ice advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, though, I mean, when you think about the fans spending their money, especially if you have a family and kids, I mean, that's a lot of money people are spending to watch a team that doesn't always show up.
Mm-hmm.
And we've heard the rationalizations and the team meetings that they'll have, behind closed doors. Hey guys, we got to be better. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
at some point you kind of realize that's kind of who they are. That for whatever reason at home they kind of go through the motions a bit, or there's some guys that don't necessarily put their best foot forward, and that's not good enough. And I don't think anyone should ever accept that. So,
No.
you know, that's certainly a grind. I mean, I'll tell you this, I'm glad I'm not trying to sell tickets.
Ooh, yeah. Could you imagine? Yeah, being up there. Yeah. Hey,
I have a
Mel.
former student that works for the Wild and he sells
Mm-hmm.
tickets.
Yeah.
And I can
Ugh.
imagine sometimes how those calls go. I've certainly seen, you know,
It's like,
some longtime Wild season ticket holders air kind of their frustrations
mm-hmm.
this last year, kind of feeling like, I've been loyal through this for a long time, and is there a way you can give me some hope to give me a reason why I've been spending all this money for 20 years?
Mm-hmm. Thousands and
So even
thousands.
even the yeah, well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, no doubt, and bless those people's heart, because I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's the Minnesota or the NHL is a butts in the seats league.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get the big TV revenues like the NFL, Major League Baseball. So it really is an attendance-driven league. So again, as much as I, who are not season ticket holders,
Mm-hmm.
tend to, maybe be critical of what's going on in the team, these are the people that are really, truly, quote, invested.
Mm-hmm. Literally,
And,
yeah.
again, I'm not trying to say that makes somebody a better fan automatically, but from a financial standpoint, they've put much more into it than you or I have.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yep.
they're the ones that are even starting to ask questions, and that should be something the team should actually care about. When a 20-year season ticket holder is saying, like, you know what, you haven't shown me any hope in 20 years. I don't know, that should be kind of a wake up kind of moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, yeah.
At least a little bit of self reflection in there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's yeah, completely understandable. And yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. So generally speaking, one of those guys that the Wild have needed so badly, like I believe we were talking off air. Now I'm blanking if we said it already here, but yeah, talking off air, how this team basically it's just obviously it's like nobody's been stepping up, in the Kirill Kaprizov absence, like you're expecting it, and then occasionally somebody will step up a little bit. Sometimes it's Freddie Gaudreau or something like woohoo, and then
yeah,
he's having a resurgence. But then it's like every now and then, finally, there we go, Boldy, the guy who you could see. I even put a poll out, and we'll probably get to that here in a second. Is So yeah, that's kind of how. Yeah, that's probably the best way to go about it. Is that he's basically been up and down. He appears to be growing. Who is Voldy
Mm-hmm.
truly going to be? Is he going to be a 90 plus point player when he's at his peak, 80 plus, 70 plus,
Mm-hmm.
basically as the poll goes, or he's already there. Oh well, So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to probably jump into that right now, even.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, kind of like how you say like the "What say you?" I like how you do that on the Crease podcast, Crease Assist podcast.
Yeah, yeah, we like to do a lot of polls,
Yeah,
and
that's good. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a good way to hear from your audience and hear what the fans think about it. And we talk about it first, and then we kind of, again, it's not meant to say that we're smarter than anybody else, but we give them a chance to air their, our voice, and then we see how our voice compares with what other fans or listeners are thinking. And again, it's not to say one is more right or wrong than the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just to get an idea of whether they're seeing what we're seeing, kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, except for the Billy Goats, they're wrong. No, I'm kidding. No, I had to say that.
They are.
They are. They're wrong. Oh, I used to kind of be a Billy Goat. I've come off that, but yep. Looks like you also have a poll out, which is fantastic. Like leading into your show, maybe I shouldn't
Yep.
spoil it. I'm always. I wonder if I spoil it when I read it on the show.
You're connected to it too.
Oh,
I
is
mean,
that okay? Yeah.
I it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I don't think it's completely ran out yet.
Yeah, it's got 2 days left, a pretty good number of votes. It's like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll read yours real quick for fun here. What do you think? Let's see. What do you think is the Minnesota Wild's ideal playoff position this season? Top three in the Central. Wild card. These are the choices, of course. Anywhere, but no Dallas or Winnipeg, Colorado. Um, let's see, playoffs, really? So those are the four choices. Wild card is winning at the moment, about 42%. Coming in second, playoffs, really? So the Jim Mora is voting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost there. I'm in the wild card, but that's a spoiler there. Anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
no Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado. That's in third at
Mm-hmm.
19.4. Top three in Central is 16.1. That's pretty optimistic. But
Yeah.
we were there, and it looked like we were
Yeah.
going to stay, but then it's like, oh, Dallas and Colorado are, one of them is going to catch us, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went with wild card, and that's looking a little scary now. Like that 10-point lead is
Yep.
diminishing to 5 points. 5 points. It's starting to feel like the
Yeah.
Minnesota Twins last year. Remember, like, oh, they're in, like 95% chance, and they missed the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, truth be told, the St. Louis Blues
Mm-hmm.
have really been coming on strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no doubt that,
Mm-hmm.
they're, in my opinion, if you think, you were talking about the 5-1 losses.
Yeah. Nope.
I think the 5-1 loss that the Wild suffered to the hands of the Blues
Mm-hmm.
last time probably motivated them. Like,
Yeah.
why should we sit back and not make the playoffs when we can beat this chump team?
Mm-hmm.
And and Binnington led Canada to the Four Nations gold.
Yep.
Which I wouldn't necessarily. I certainly wouldn't have. I wouldn't have thought he would have been the first choice of Team Canada, but he got the confidence of that, and some of their star players like Jordan Kyrou really have menaced the Wild forever.
Yeah, hat trick. Yep.
And they've dug in, and they've played more games, I believe, than the Wild have. So there's a little bit of the games in hand thing a little bit, although at the same time, the Wild are still in a place where they control their destiny, but they don't the margin of error is getting slimmer and slimmer every day, as it does this time of year.
Mm-hmm. It's like, let's see, 2 points. One, no. It's like, I hope it doesn't wind up like the August-September Twins last year. That was quite a historical collapse. But, and I do believe it's a similar situation with injuries again, too. It's just like, and just the team playing like dog dookie, as the angry video game nerd might say. No.
Well, but you hit the nail on the head when you talked about waiting for the other players in the team to step up.
Yeah.
And, perhaps some of them, like it's not shouldn't have been hinted now. It's actually been, I guess, loosely reported that Marco Rossi is banged up and apparently playing with some kind of injury that we don't know about. And obviously, I'm going to guess he's probably not the only one on the team that's banged up, and they've tried to lean on those guys, and unfortunately, there has not been a lot of production from those players that you would expect to raise their game in the absence of really Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek, at least up front. And so that's been probably the most troubling part about it, is the fact that those guys have more or less flatlined, and you're relying on a unexpected player to somehow deliver offense, like you said, Freddie Gaudreau or Marcus Johansson of all people, or one of the, Ryan Hartman, who has been a little more productive since his league mandated vacation, if you want to call it that.
Vacay.
But well, I mean, the other thing that's kind of frozen up a little bit too is what kind of buoyed them the first time they had the Kaprizov injury was the fact that kind of the Minnesota's defense started to score some points. Spurgeon, Faber, Middleton, they were starting to score some goals, which kind of helped provide that secondary scoring. But now that's pretty much gone away completely. And so now that's why they're having, like we said, it's either feast or famine. And it looks like they're limping towards the postseason if they can get to the finish line at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they are completely limping, and the fact that you also have players like, obviously the bottom of the bench. And I mean, did the Justin Brazeau goal excite you at all? If I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but
Justin Brazeau.
I'm sorry, Brazeau. There we go.
No, it's no.
Nope, me neither.
He is. Well, he showed a little bit of feistiness in the game against Dallas. I saw him kind of towards the end, kind of getting into it with, was it Liam Bixel? The big defenseman for the Stars. And it was just a little bit of pushing and shoving.
Yeah.
And, for a big guy, and again, I realized that, well, I mean, Liam Bixel's huge, but so is, Brazeau's not a small kid at all either. But he doesn't play big. I actually had a person on Twitter tweet at me, and he kind of talked about, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Mystery Alaska.
I've heard of it, but no, I haven't.
Well, it's a movie with Russell Crowe, and there's a guy on this team. It's about this team up in Alaska that somehow ends up with an exhibition game against the New York Rangers. It's a great comedy film. I think it's it's kind of like a modernized version of Slapshot in a way. But anyways, long story short, there's a guy on the team called Tree because he's a big guy.
He's the Tree.
And he plays defense, and he's this classic big stay-at-home defenseman guy. And they ask him, "Are you a big guy?" And he kind of goes, "Yeah, I'm a big guy." And he's like, "But you got to play like a big guy."
Ooh, yeah.
And he asked him, says, "Do you think I'm a big guy?" And he's like, maybe 6 inches shorter. He's like, "Yeah, you're a big guy." He's like, "No, I'm not. You got to play like a big guy." So he kind of gets in his face, gets him mad, and then the Tree guy levels him. He's like, that's what we need. You're going to need to, play like that. And it would have been nice. I know it sounds dumb, but I would have liked to have seen Brazeau scrap with that Bixel guy. Just to show me he has it. But he didn't. It was just, pushing and shoving. And, it's like, well, that you're that's not going to cut it.
That's why we traded for him, right? No, that's why we traded for him. No.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, Jakub Lauko would have probably
Mm-hmm.
fought.
Yeah, he's a scrappy
He's
guy.
shorter. He's much, he's a scrappy guy. I mean, again, I'm not saying that this is all about, turning it into the North Stars versus Bruins thing where we need to have every guy fight. But at the same time, for a guy that's big and he does not play and use all of his physical gifts that he's given, and when you toss in the fact that he's not a great skater, it's just not a very good return on the trade, in my opinion.
No,
Isn't.
Absolutely not. Kuznetsov opened up with 2 goals since he hasn't done anything, but yeah, we could leave that where that is, unless you want to comment on him. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, he shows signs, but then it's like once in a blue moon you see something.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, my only fear with Brazo is that because they paid kind of a premium for him,
yeah, even through
where they gave up 3 assets for 1. That's going to prompt Bill Guerin to want to re-sign him.
Oh Lord! Oh.
Even though my logic is this: he didn't do much. We spent a lot on him, so you're going to want to show that investment, that premium investment, if that's what you want to call it, wasn't just a rental. And because I think he's basically a league minimum player. I think he makes $775 or something like that K. Now, mind you, obviously to us that's big money. To them, that's near the bottom. But that's the kind of guy Guerin likes. He obviously made the deal for him, and you just think that in his mind, well, once he gets a chance to, be with the team longer, maybe he'll play the way he did in Boston, and but then that's a roster spot that, for a guy who's 27 already, and you have younger guys that, that's a spot that they won't be able to get because they've already, my fear is they're going to cement that guy into the roster. That's my only fear for this offseason with him, is they'll think to give him a couple more years as a chance to integrate himself into the Wild way of doing things.
And that wouldn't surprise me. I could just imagine a year or two with him coming back. It wouldn't surprise me. That's kind of how things operate, isn't it? It's pretty much how it's been, pretty much going, for years now. We've all seen player after player, like, Marcus Johansson is an example. That's another rabbit hole, but we'll leave that where that is. But yeah, that's kind of how it's been. You trade, you give up assets for a player. Either he shows signs, or you feel like, whoa, we gave up a lot. We better get some kind of return here and see if we can get it next year. Woohoo! Now, like, next year we'll be healthy. Now we got this. Otherwise, should we jump to the poll here with Boldy?
Sure.
Yep, so, wherefore art thou? Now I just clicking all over. Too many things open. Sorry. Okay, I already did that one. So what will be Matt Boldy's peak? I put it really short and sweet, I suppose. The 4 choices that I hinted at: franchise wing, 90 plus points. That's like his peak, of course. Top line wing, because I accidentally bumped G and didn't notice it until I already left the pull out for a while. So top ling wing instead of line. Top line wing, 80 plus, which would be nice. Better than now, which is 70 because he's reached 69 for his peak so far. 70 plus anyway, that could be anything. And the final one is he's reached it at 69. Sorry, and that's it's at a decent amount of votes. But the leader, it's still got 3 days left, I guess. 43.8 is top ling wing. They like the G there, like the ling wing, 80 plus. And I kind of agree with that. I hope so. I kind of agree with that. I'd like to believe in the next year or two that can happen. Second place is franchise wing. That would be wonderful. 25 right there, right at 1/4. That's coming in second. Better than now is 21.9, and he's reached it already, basically, is 9.4%. So that's like the Charlie Coyle point of view. Like, yeah, that's the best you're going to get. So what say you with Matt Boldy's peak?
Well, I think he's good for at least 25 goals a season. And I think it's not unreasonable to expect at least 40 to 45 assists in any given year. I have an issue with those that think he's a 40-goal scorer. I just don't see it. I mean, especially as we've seen since he's returned from the Four Nations face-off, is the perimeter play, where he spends as much time on the point as Brock Faber does, almost. And that's not a place where he's going to score a lot of goals. And it's also not a place really where he's going to generate a lot of points either. And right now, he needs to be the driver of the Wild's offense. They've needed him to be that guy. And other than one game, he has not been that guy. And in my opinion, that's whether he's a top line wing or not, he still should be the one that's setting things up. And I know that some people have been making a big deal about the fact that I think he's one of the top 10 leaders in the NHL in shots on goal.
Yep. Well, that could.
But if you're just if you're sending a wrist shot from the point that's on an unscreened goalie, that's not really a shot on goal. That's playing catch with the goalie. And there's little or no threat to score whatsoever. And it does well to like make your possession metrics look nice because you have all these shots on goal. But if 80% of your shots are shots that have probably less than a 3% chance of beating a goaltender, then who cares? Like really, who cares? I mean, I would like to see, if he has 4 shots from areas near to the goal, like somewhere below the dots, near the slot, my guess is 1, he'll have more points, but 2, that's more reflective of a goal scorer in the NHL. And just having the volume, but from low quality areas of the ice to score, does not really, to me, mean that he's going to reach that point. And the question is when is he going to figure it out? I mean, we've already had at least 2, I would say, distinct come to Jesus moments where he's had Wild management or Wild coaches, formally take him aside and talk about what he needs to do to be a more impactful player. And I realize he's 23 and you can talk forever about how young you are, but he's been in the league for what, 3 or 4 years now?
4. This is number 4. Yeah. Like 3.5-ish, it was like one of those years. Yeah.
It's not like he's a rookie. So at some point, people figure it out. Or some people are just wired that way. We just got done kind of teasing, or I shouldn't say teasing, maligning Justin Brazeau for not being more feisty. Well, you're either wired that way or not.
Yeah.
He's either going to be wired to go to the tough areas of the ice to score, or he's going to be comfortable and stay in the perimeter and, just, throw floating wrist shots on the goal and kill, because the thing is most cases when you do that, the goaltender just catches the puck, freezes the puck. Offensive possession's dead at that point.
You have to start over.
You have to have a draw. Yep, and it's a drive, just like a person being unable to maybe convert, on like third downs and for a football offense, how that kills drives. That's the same thing for the Minnesota Wild, where you can have a lot of possession cycling around the place, and then if it ends in a weak wrist shot from the point that's unscreened, all that work is for nothing.
Yep, guys battling in front of the net.
All that time you spent, all that time you spent in the quote unquote, offensive zone, what does it matter if it ultimately culminates in a weak wrister on an unscreened goalie? Who
Yeah, it's
cares?
not enough.
So I don't know. I guess for myself, I feel like what the team needs him to be is a player that is somewhere closer to 80 points per season, where he's probably maybe a 28 goal scorer with almost 50 assists, something like
Yeah.
that. But what I unfortunately see is we'll get more of a 25, 45 guy.
Like 70-ish. Yep. Right.
Yep. Because it's just, and he does have a little bit of that teaser quality to him where there's a capability in him to make the fantastic play. It just still only happens once in a while. And that to me is where it's like we say all the time with the Wild, he teases that he can do so much, but often leaves you wanting so much more.
Definitely the ultimate teaser. Matt Boldy, definitely better than Charlie Coyle, which is nice, but
Certainly,
he's definitely above beyond him, but yeah, still he's become he's definitely a tease as well. Hopefully with his youth, he just keeps getting stronger and more confident. But like you said, it's the classic, it's the classic. You're either wired that way or you're not. Like it just kind of is what it is. You can't really. It's possible people can change, but very unlikely. Very unlikely. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do think one thing that hurts a little bit, at least as it's currently constructed, and this is where I would say they miss Eriksson Ek.
Oh yes.
Eriksson Ek is much more north-south than east-west. And so because of the injuries that they
That's
have,
a big one, yeah.
you put him on a line with the most east-west guy the Wild have in Matt Zuccarello,
Yep.
who just loves passing the puck back and forth, playing off one another. But for Boldy though, that turns him into a perimeter player, and he's not gonna crash the net. Because he's getting all these little passes up near above the dots, and they end up playing that little, like this sort of give and go game along the perimeter, and it just doesn't work as well. And I felt the same way with Kaprizov, like if you remember last season when Kaprizov got paired with Eriksson Ek, suddenly Kaprizov now crashing the net again. Because again, you have a player that's a little more north-south, a little more straight ahead, going towards, getting close to the net. And so that brings you closer to the net. Whereas, that's not, Zuccarello likes to play the perimeter, and, it works, but it's also maddening at times where there's always just one more pass, pass. And again, I think that in a way has had an effect on perhaps how Boldy has played a little bit. But at the same time, Boldy's also, he's a good enough, talented enough player that he can try to put a shoulder down and charge the net. He showed that at the Four Nations that he can do that. But for whatever reason, we're just not seeing it.
Yep.
I don't have any explanation for it.
And that's what we're hoping someday, somehow, some way, something will click and that fierce competitiveness can come out, because he definitely has the talent to be that 80, maybe even 90. That's probably reaching a little bit, and obviously just flinging the puck on net is, as some people would call, grasping for straws, like just kind of hoping, like desperation, hoping maybe the goalie doesn't freeze it. There's a rebound. Maybe that's where, in a lot of ways, that's where half of assists basically turn out, with some guys that just kind of fling the puck on net. But that's what he's hoping for in a lot of ways. Obviously, a nice game against the Buffalo Sabres and all that. The +3, we appreciate that. But again, you'd say, few and far between, which is a thing. So hopefully Boldy can somehow get that.
Well, I mean,
Oh, good.
well, the other basic part of that though too is you're not going to play Buffalo in the playoffs.
Nope. In a miracle in the Cup Finals,
you wish. But I mean, you wish you played a team like Buffalo. And I'm not saying as much Buffalo specifically as I'm saying a team that's well out of playoff contention like Buffalo is. A team that has clearly some defensive issues. It's easy to take advantage of the fact that team doesn't defend very well, but the best players are judged on how you play against the toughest teams. And, it doesn't matter. I mean, you may not be the fastest, you may not be in some ways the most flashy player, but if a player can raise their game in the postseason, that's sometimes what you hang your career on. Joe Pavelski was that player for a long time. Never won a cup, but he always seemed to be a gamer in postseason play, or a guy that could bring you a cup, like what's his face, Brian Bickle. Remember him?
Yeah. Yep.
Who, he would go from a complete obscurity to being the guy that just seemed to get the clutch goal all the time, or again, that to me is another intangible in all of this. And here you are, you see us against playoff teams. The Wild are 5-13.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So that doesn't speak well to a team that's gonna somehow find it.
Like it doesn't
in the postseason.
Yeah, there's basically no indicator that they're gonna do really a whole lot of anything. Unless
I mean, if we were 500 or above 500 against playoff teams, then maybe I'm feeling good. But if you look like you're definitely not able to play that way, why would we expect them to do something there?
There's definitely a lot of doubts going into this postseason for sure. And we'll see about the Gophers a little bit. Maybe we'll preview a tiny bit of that coming up. The NCAA tournament. Coming up shortly. Real quick. This is it. This is the big one. And I'm looking forward to that. But real quick, I'm going to dive into the DraftKings ad real quick. So we're going to get to that right now. Hey, basketball fans, are you ready to win real money? Check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 dunks on its rivals, including Prize Picks. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat, like points, rebounds, three-pointers, and more. Pick 6 is available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6 and cash in your basketball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut, home of the Hartford Whalers. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. And we always thank DraftKings very much there. The screen's getting covered in sun, so it's I miraculously could see it. But that's how that goes. So the next topical, we might skip 1 or 2 just because. Should we talk about Gustafsson a tiny bit? He's kind of been the team MVP, or move on?
He's been
he really has been. He deserves conversation, doesn't he? Yeah.
The only sad part about it is both he and I think honestly I thought Marc-Andre Fleury kept the Wild into the game against Vegas probably longer than they deserve to be.
Yeah.
And, then, of course, they get one penalty late and the wheels fall off and they lose 5-1, which I don't think was completely where the game was at, but it just shows you how fine the margins are for this team, that one mistake can blow up that big. And but no, again, I don't hang that on Fleury at all. But Gustafson's been truly exceptional. And certainly if he was not as good as he has been, I think the pressure would be that much more intense right now. Because, like we mentioned already, their struggle to score would only be exacerbated if Gustafsson was giving up 2 or 3. I mean, there would be no chance then. We probably wouldn't even be in the playoff picture right now.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
He's kept the team there, and he's been superb.
Yeah, I think definitely without him, this team is not even in playoff conversation. We would be maybe not Buffalo bad, but something down there. And I don't want to rip on Buffalo because I kind of like the Sabres. It's just they just don't win, damn it. But yeah, we would be kind of like we're I don't even know now. I'm blanking on my head. It's like if I could just see a standing, but Utah-ish. I don't know. That's just my guess. Yeah, kind of like that. About eight less wins at least. Maybe more, probably much more. Maybe even Nashville's been a massive bust. I don't think we're quite that.
Although they're playing a little better as of late now that I think they're kind of out of it.
Like now that the pressure's off.
They're playing that. Yeah, you play loose, right?
Yep.
You're not so tense about everything, and does that play a role into how the Wild are playing? Maybe. I don't know. They seem like such a relaxed group. It's hard to say that, like, I know that especially during the droughts that Boldy and Rossi had, you heard all these stories about how guys are, gripping the stick too tight and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I mean,
pressure's on. No. Yep.
Well, I mean, I get it to a point, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, they've been a loose team. They, their locker room overall seems to be still pretty friendly, But hey, I'm sure they're also very well aware that there's an expectation amongst the fans that everyone's kind of waiting for them to take the next step, and that pressure is probably starting to amplify, as they see it through media or whatever. So
yeah, no doubt about that. It's, I mean, I can't even imagine, and I probably wouldn't want to be in their shoes, but I suppose a competitive person maybe would. Like we can right this ship. But right now we'll see. We'll see if they can right the ship versus Ovi coming up here. That's tonight. So some people are going to attend that one, hoping to see. I don't know. I think is he still 5 goals behind or 6? Okay,
6.
So he'd have to have a double hat trick to get that. Even more.
Well, and given the Wild struggles,
maybe right now.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if that's how? Yeah,
it'd be funny. It would be funny.
Joke's on you. You're in history for dubiously giving up 6 goals for him to break the record.
To break the record, at least for the goals, whereas assists, I guess, isn't it like the Gretzky status? He has more assists than any, like the second place person even has points or something. So that is awesome. That is awesome. That is so he truly is the great one, whereas Ovi is a great goal scorer, basically. With obviously.
That's still pretty nice.
Pretty nice to have, right? Shame on Joey, right? And he does have a cup, and who knows? Maybe he'll have a second one because they're on the way. Of course, the President's Trophy curse has very much been alive forever, but we'll see. Some teams they overcome it, like the '89 Flames and other teams like that. That's going way back in the day. They just said we're the best, and we're the best. Period. And I like when teams are able to accomplish that. So yes, Gustafsson definitely 5 shutouts on the season, goals against average 2.47. I mean, he's been wonderful. So yes, without him, I think we are like Utah basically. Maybe we'll change our name to the Yeti since we give away Yeti cups, I believe. So no, I'm just kidding.
Why not?
We should do it. The Minnesota Yeti. Or
The Minnesota Coleman.
The Coleman, yes. The Minnesota Iron Range. No. I don't know why they don't come up with Sasquatch. I go over there in Utah. Like you could say maybe it doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, let's face it, the Utah Yeti, 4-letter state name, 4-letter,
Yeah.
icon. It flows really quick.
Flows literally right off your tongue, and also in everything else, in print and all that, or data, or everyone calls it data, but I insist data. I don't know where the data came from. Arena, dare we get into that a little teeny tiny bit, or it's obviously they want a lot of money.
The latest proposal, I think I saw, they said that I believe Craig Leopold was going to be on for like 150 million,
Mm-hmm.
and then the city was expected to pick up like 200 million, and then I think they wanted something around 350 from the state.
350, yep.
For those improvements, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. We said this on our show.
Good show, by the way. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, actually, I shouldn't say we said this. I saw this from another person, and they felt that since the Wild are the ones that are going to be primarily profiting off of the improvements to these facilities, because let's face it, this is not just upgrades for the Excel Energy Center. This is upgrades for Roy Wilkins Auditorium and that River Center Convention Center. That's a kind of a part of the whole complex.
Like a team thing. Yep.
So again, but again, if that venue overall is the one that's primarily what's being improved, then the person that owns that, aka what is it, Minnesota Sports Entertainment or whatever, which is what Leopold owns, they should be the one that's, in my opinion, providing most of the funds for it. So, because they're the ones that are going to be primarily profiting off of it. And while you can try to talk about how there's other conventions, concerts, etc., yeah, but your amenities are the ones that are improved.
Yeah.
A lot of that money is going to stay within those buildings. So, like, if they're making nicer concession facilities at the X, well, people aren't spending their money at the outer businesses that are outside of it. They're spending it inside. So, how do you tell the business outside that you're making money off of having to invest more into that facility? And I don't know. I mean, I think we all get kind of lukewarm with how stadiums are funded, where the public seems to eat a lot of it for, I think it's debatable in a way that there's a huge benefit. I think the owners and all that will all tell you that there's a huge economic impact for the community, which to a degree there is, but I don't think the other people see as much money as those that own the teams do. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, sorry. Yep. For me, yeah. I mean, I can definitely understand. It seems like teams don't really foot the bill as much as they probably should. I can definitely understand the frustration. God, how do I even go to that? How do I even go about it? Yeah, I mean, I know how anytime anybody sees like a potential raise in taxes, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, it can be frustrating. You can be angry, and how some of us are working either one job that they're not all that happy about, or 2 jobs, or working odd schedules and barely getting by, living in a dingy apartment. I can't imagine who I'm hinting at there, but
Yeah.
So that's where frustration can boil over at times with some of that. Me partially, it'd be nice to see the renovations done. You wish ownership could fit like more than 50% of the bill. I'm not sure how to go about it, but it'd be nice if they could. Like, I'm not pissed off at like public funding if it's not too much, and I can understand. It is kind of surprising how much it is, so I suppose it's a pretty large project. And
it's because the other things are lumped into it.
That's the good part.
But the dollar amount, when you consider, I mean, I realize there's inflation, things cost more,
Yep.
but I mean, if you look like the original, that this upgrade, I think, is more than what when they originally created the arena. I think this price tag is higher than the original building of the whole arena
Yep.
price. And it kind of weirdly harkens back to the time where I remember Norm Green wanting to create a skyway between the Mall of America and the Met Center, and that was going to cost as much as basically building a new arena.
Yeah, think of how big that would have been. Oh.
Oh, it would have been massive, because I think it was supposed to include a casino on top of it, if I remember correctly, because that was part of the sales pitch, that you put a casino, it makes money, that kind of thing. That's a revenue generator, which they all love to tell you that. But at the same time, it seemed kind of crazy to spend as much money just creating a skyway between the mall and Met Center, and ultimately, of course, they just felt it wasn't practical. And strangely enough, it was time when the economy was slowing down. That was during the recession when Norm Green asked for that. And right now, our economy has shown some signs that things are slowing down a little bit. So is this a wise time to suddenly throw a big burden on taxpayers? But is there ever a time that taxpayers look forward to spending more money?
No, that's the truth. Yep. On both sides of the aisle, yeah, for sure. Yep, and obviously that green thing, I always get the feeling, and you probably see that the same way, is that Norm Green was pretty much in it for a quick profit. You could just kind of make like a quick gain, like get everything together. We got this new arena, or move the team into a bigger market, which is what he did, of course. And 2-3 years later, sell it for a profit, and that's the sad part.
Yeah. Well, they're businessmen for a reason, aren't they?
Yep.
They're business people. I mean, they're not doing it, at least, especially with, a guy like him who's from Calgary. He's not doing it for the charity to Minnesota.
No.
This isn't a local trying to keep a local franchise around. This is a guy that, like you said, they're looking to
come ahead. Yep.
It's a transaction.
Coming ahead.
It's a transaction. Yep.
It's a sad but true thing. Oh, I remember my episode here. What was that about? Back in the fall, I think I talked about it. Yeah, like late fall, I talked about what could have been. If only how it could have been, maybe expansion in Dallas, but of course not.
Yeah.
Of course it didn't work out that way. Whereas like the quote unquote spot, the slot for expansion could have been Dallas and North Stars stay, but how I wish, and how the Ducks even, yeah.
Well, well, I think to an extent the league probably felt like the North Stars had dodged that bullet already when the Guns wanted to move the team.
The Sharks, yep.
When ironically Chicago's Dollar Bill Wirtz stepped in and said, no, you're not going to move the North Stars, because North Stars fans travel really well to Chicago to come and watch them play their much hated Blackhawks. And that's the best rivalry I got. So no, I'm not going to let you move, but we'll give you an expansion team and allow you also, of course, to take half of the North Stars roster to San Jose and half their prospects. So, basically demerging the Cleveland Barons, to San Jose, really.
It's amazing, yeah.
With the same owners they had, So
it was a metamorphosis. I always kind of call it that. It's so weird. You could do the coolest. You could make some kind of a computer graphic video. It's whoop, whoop, kind of comes in from Cleveland and merges in, and then merges out to San Jose. And
it's like a butterfly.
Yeah,
right?
And even crazier. I'm sorry. I was going to say even crazier is how they started off as the California Steels. So it was like the same area and everything. That is funny. I always get a kick out of how weird and Man, it's the oddest, probably the oddest thing that ever happened. And there's been a lot of odd things that have happened in sports, but that one's way, way on
Mm-hmm.
that's probably on the Mount Rushmore. So as we
Yep.
try to dig a little more here. So that's probably wrap up the arena talk for the most part. And well, the good news is they're probably not moving. So that's okay. That's the good part.
Yeah.
Dare we dig into, oh, go ahead.
But but I would
Excuse me.
say I would just say that I think that I mean, since Gary Bettens already made his little spiel about it, and by the way, it's not only the Minnesota Wild. He's done this at a couple arenas I've seen around the league. So the whole talk about upgrading arenas has been kind of a league wide, at least in certain markets. Bettman has shown up saying, "Hey, you guys need to spend more money on your arena." So there's definitely the pressure in different markets to step up and do that. The question is just whether how much is it going to cost, and will it just involve an upgrade at the X, or will it continue to be sold as, an upgrade of that whole,
The whole
like we
area.
said, Roy Wilkins, the River Center. I mean,
Hmm.
that's part of what makes the price tag that
Hmm.
much bigger.
Yeah. Even,
So I think we'll see more wheeling and
yeah,
dealing.
most likely because it was similar with the Target Center years ago. There was a lot of extra stuff mixed in.
Mhm.
I think even it was like
Mhm.
I think a lot of stuff passed around the same time. Even the U.S. Bank Stadium passed around that time, which is pretty wild.
Mm.
All that stuff was going on around the same time. Luckily, everyone's still here and
Mhm.
they seem to be happy. I guess. Well, not the Timberwolves. That's not going to last much longer, but but hopefully
Yeah.
they stay and
Well,
everything.
I mean, I saw that. I think I saw Judd
Hmm.
Zolgad or somebody bring it up that they said, well, hey, with people wanting the XL to be, updated or renovated, and I think I saw someone say, like, Target Center just said hold my beer or whatever, hey, wait a minute, what about us, and everyone's like that when that happens, right? Everyone looks at the shiny thing and they want new shiny things for
What
themselves.
about me? Hey, my hands. Yeah, but yeah, but
Hmm.
that's what it's like.
I haven't seen an upgrade in a while,
Oh,
so
that's kind of how I feel at work. Oh, let me tell you. Let me tell you. That's a rant I could go on, but
yeah.
I could use an upgrade too. That's for sure. Bill Guerin, who did get an upgrade to, was it like president of hockey, basically? But
A couple of years
yeah,
ago, yeah, 2
yeah,
years ago.
it's been a minute. Yeah, he might be. He's been facing the music. He's kind of been on a bit of a hot seat, a bit of a hot seat, a bit of a hot seat. But um, and then he seemed to be really, I don't know. He seemed to be getting agitated as Russo was questioning him. I'm sure their relationship's completely fine, but that's kind of the nature of the business. Um, Definitely seems to be feeling the pressure a bit. You can definitely tell he was like basically what was he saying? And I know this is kind of old news, but still you can feel the pressure with Guerin, how he was
Hmm.
getting more and more agitated, basically saying like we're not going to make trades so you can write like exciting stories or whatever, stuff like that. and then and then
Yep.
Russo's just kind of uh-huh. So I kind of got a kick out of that. I don't blame Guerin for feeling some pressure, but then again, I think at the same time he has kind of put it on himself with some of these. Obviously, it's stuff we've talked about ad nauseum, but it's still there. It's still rearing its ugly head. No move, the no move clauses, the no trade this, and can't do this, can't do that, and
Hmm.
we just gotta keep this guy because he's part of
Yep.
he's one of the pillars of the Wild. Dang it, be it Foligno, Hardman, Zuccarello. What was the other?
Hmm.
There's a third one.
Uh,
I'm
oh,
blank.
oh.
Hartman, Foligno. I guess it was kind of those three. Hartman, Foligno, Zuccarello at the time.
Well, if you could kind of connect Trennan
Yeah,
to
now
that.
Trennan's in the list. Yeah. He was added, which is probably the most egregious of all. Of course, me, I'm not a big Hartman
Hmm.
fan. I probably made that a little bit obvious. I'm not a huge Foligno fan either.
Hmm. But
Hmm.
going back to what you're saying about the exchange between
And
him
Russo, yeah.
and Michael
Hmm.
Russo, who, for lack of better description, he's still the main, I should say, journalistic voice that most Wild fans pay attention to, whether you like that or not. But the real thing kind of getting to it is whether or not Guerin should be starting to feel the pressure. I mean, we've heard the same mantra pretty much since the day that those buyouts were created, that, okay, the clock starts now, the buyouts are going to be this, oppressive to our cap for the next, first year wasn't so bad, and then it was for the next 4 years, it was, 12.7 and then 14 million or whatever, as it's been. And now, of course, that's going to be coming off the books.
Yep.
And this is really kind of the inflection point of, okay, no more excuses. The big cap hit goes way down. So now you're free. So where is this team? Because it's apparently all a part of the plan. And really, I think there's two camps really within the fan base. You have the camp that is kind of already feels frustrated and annoyed. And then there's a group that's the let's wait and see what he does this summer or in the next year or two, because now you have no excuses. So now it's like put up or shut up time. And then you'll have not just 50% or maybe 30% of your fan base, if that's what you want to call the already frustrated crowd. But now you're going to have like the whole fan base, and it's going to be, they're not going to put up with excuses, and nor should they. And that to me is where we'll truly see it become a hot seat. I think right now it still very much depends on probably what happens in the next 2 years with, of course, Kaprizov's re-signing, probably the biggest hurdle in the immediate sense. Because let's face it, if he fumbles that football, it'll become hot in a hurry. Like red hot. Like fans standing there with pitchforks and torches outside the arena.
That's if
mad because I mean that's really that's your franchise. At least that's what seems to be the most obvious plan. However, do we really know that there's a plan?
Yeah,
I mean, we've been told there's a plan, but there's nothing that's been articulated. And I realize, with not to get into current events, it's not like they posted it on Snapchat or something. But at the same time, I guess as fans, you would like to be able to feel like you have figured out what their goal is. And I don't really know if there really is a plan.
It doesn't look like it, no.
Because the moves that have happened over the course of this year, and again, this is probably speaking as a member of one of the frustrated crowd, it's hard to really see the logic in some of the moves, whether they're designed more as a long-term move, like a Juracek trade, or the short-term trades like Nyquist and Brazeau. You're asking yourself, like, one's defeating the other. So I realize we didn't get a ton of moves at the deadline, but you still kind of felt like we were harming the future for the pretty lame returns that they got at the deadline. So there's definitely some unrest amongst certain groups of Wild fans, but I think a lot of the other ones are just kind of, hoping that they'll realize what the plan is maybe this summer when Guerin is free from that encumbrance of the buyouts. And of course we know the cap is going up the sides. But if he does that, or if that happens, and
14,
like I said, he either fumbles the Kaprizov football or has some pretty questionable moves in the summer, like I said, then that seat will get hot in a hurry.
Like red hot,
White
hot.
Yep. Yeah. I know it doesn't really answer the question, but I think that's kind of where people are at based on what I'm seeing and
Yeah,
reading.
it's kind of like in a lot of ways. It's yeah, like it's kind of like wait till this summer. This summer is kind of the biggest summer in franchise history. We probably said that a couple times, but this one is the
Hmm.
newest biggest summer in franchise history. Yeah.
Well, you
hmm
feel like it's an inflection point.
What is the plan? Yeah.
What they do next.
Yeah,
What they do next will probably affect the next 5 or 6 years or longer.
exactly. Yeah.
Just like when they made the deals for Suter and Parise in the first place, you knew that
Yep.
that was going to set the
Yep.
tone, especially with the length of those deals. You know that at the very least it was probably going to set the direction of the franchise, good or bad, for the next 10 years. And obviously it still has a huge effect.
Still,
Obviously we're at where we're
yeah.
at.
Think about that. It was 2012. It's 2025. Still taking effect. It'll still take a
Hmm.
small effect even the next couple of years because of what is it, 8 something. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
something. But
it's, it's not quite Bobby Bonilla
yeah,
day, but
thankfully, yeah, Bobby Bonilla. Wasn't he still making wasn't he still getting checks to is he still getting checks?
he's still getting
Holy mother,
checks.
man. Yeah, and he's like,
It's like to the
oh,
2030s.
isn't that crazy? And he's like really old. Isn't
That's
he like 60 or something already?
he's he's well into his
hmm
50s.
That's unbelievable. He was a good player for a while and not so much. I don't know.
Hey, would you take millions of dollars till you're
Yes.
60?
Oh God, yes. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful? It was like
Yeah.
a lottery. Yep. It was like a lottery without having to be with the lottery. Oh, I'd love that. That's going to be Kaprizov's next deal, right? It'd be awesome. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, but it's
God.
definitely the newest, biggest summer in franchise history. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fun. I mean, like this offseason with the Vikings, obviously it's been fun. Still waiting to find out who quarterback number 2 is, but, maybe it'll be Marcus Foligno. I don't know. But, I'm just kidding. I had to say it. Or Ryan Hartman could go in and dig into
Well,
someone's knee or
I'll
something.
not to turn this I Purple
Yep, there
Mafia,
you go.
but
Yeah.
I would take Marcus Foligno as QB before Aaron
I think
Rodgers.
so too.
I want nothing to do with Aaron
hmm
Rodgers.
Yeah, too much toxic.
Oh my God,
Mhm.
Oh, that would dismantle everything that they've built so far.
Sounds like a Bill Guerin move to me. I don't know. Oh, did I say that? No. Be like, what is the plan?
Oh, why are you picking on Aaron
I,
Rodgers?
I,
Why are you He's been a great player.
and,
That's pretty much what it'd be. It'd be like the Matt
hmm
Dumba thing.
Oh, I hated that. Yeah, it was so funny on
We're
Barrero. Yep.
well, why are you picking on Matt Dumba? What? He's been a great player
hmm
for us.
Why is it always Dumba? Why is it? And then
Yeah.
how?
Why is it always
Yeah,
Rodgers?
like the groin, like maybe Rogers has like a kind of a nagging injury. You know what? I don't know. When's he
Yeah.
coming back? You know what? I
Yeah.
don't know. Okay. It's a day-to-day thing. You just don't know. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. He gets
Hmm.
more and more mad. No, no, sorry. I had to do that. Uh, still, let me see. What did I just do? I just did something bad, but no, that's kind of, yeah, it's going to be, we'll still have to wait and see with the Vikings, but yeah, I totally feel you there. So we dig a bit into the younger guys since we're begging to see some of them rather than make trades for 35-year-olds that get 2 assists in 12 games or something. uh, yeah,
Yeah.
but a guy who could get, well, at least at the AHL level, he could get multi-point games anytime, almost anytime he wants, even though they've been, God, maybe like a general statement on the Iowa Wild. I am, they are one of the most pathetic AHL franchises the last X amount of years, aren't they? It seems like everything they touch goes
Yeah.
toxic. Almost.
Or things go, or things go sideways that are completely out of their
There's
control.
that.
I
Yep.
mean, they had a couple years where when they actually had Ryan O'Reilly's brother Cal O'Reilly,
Oh yeah.
they got to the playoffs and had a pretty good
hmm
season. That was the year when the team sent down
hmm
Donato and Jordan Greenway and they kind of blew it off.
Oh yeah.
Like they went down there and played really lazy,
Yep.
and Garen was
hmm
pissed. Like Garen was really mad. Like you guys need to grow the hell
Yeah,
up,
I agree with that. Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Yeah, which no, I totally was fine
Yeah.
with that. I remember because I watch and listen to a lot of the Iowa Wild games, and actually last night they played against Chicago, and they ended up coming back from being down 3-0 to tie the game, and it got to overtime. And unfortunately, they ended up losing with 13 seconds left in OT on kind of a controversial non-call, where a Wild player was clearly tripped up. And mind you, they had called penalties, which had the Wild on a 5-on-3 in overtime. I don't know. Well, young guys like well, anyways, like you said, they've kind of been a Murphy's Law team. Like, what can go wrong has gone wrong. Like, David Juracek's up with the Minnesota Wild for a month.
Yeah, never plays.
Doesn't play. So, has kind of his own practice with Andy Ness doing bag skates left and right, and then goes down to Iowa and gets hurt the first game he's back. So he's on the shelf down there. Jesper Wallsted's on the shelf right now.
Yeah, yep, he's been out for a while.
So he's not playing. But let's face it, those are the two guys you want playing. Because you were hoping that they can be players maybe as soon as next season, especially Wallsted.
Yes.
As we know, this is, of course, Marc-Andre Fleury's swan song is his victory lap season. And you know that he is retiring at the end of the season. He's said so more than once. So that means Wallsted needs to be ready if you're going to fill this spot internally, which I think that I would imagine that's part of the plan, one would think. And the question really is he ready?
I hope so.
Because he has had, if you look at the trends, he has gotten worse every year he's been in Iowa. Like, his best year was his first year.
He looked good, yeah.
And then it got a little worse. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as good. And then this year he's been
bad. Yep, well below average, yep.
He's been under 90% save percentage wise, giving up at least 3 goals a game. Right now, the guy who's been the ace for Iowa has been Samuel Hlavae. He played pretty well last night. He had 33 saves. Like the Minnesota Wild, scoring has been a challenge for Iowa. They get scoring, but then, they're still giving up 3 goals a game. So, the thresholds are what they are. They have not had a player that's emerged as just the go-to guy. And that's probably really kind of what's haunted them, beyond the fact that at times their goaltending just hasn't been up to par. As far as the young kids go, it kind of ebbs and flows. Right now, the hot hand lately has been Mikey Milne.
2 goals, yep.
Milne had 2 goals last night, pretty nice ones. Hunter Hates had his moments where he's been kind of the hot hand. Same thing with Liam Ogren. So the kids have had some moments, but it hasn't turned into, okay, boys, I'm taking it to the next level. There hasn't been a player that's just flat out led the way, and that's really what that team has lacked. Defensive prospect wise, Carson Lambos had a fantastic stretch pass to set up Milne for his breakaway goal that ended up being the game-tying goal last night. I mean, we're talking like from within his own end, threading it all the way through the center of the ice just before the Chicago blue line to set up, Milne for the breakaway. I mean, that's just a fantastic pass. Very Faber-esque.
Nice.
And kind of how that, or even Spurgeon-esque. Kind of the vision to see it, and then of course the execution to put it right on the money. So Lambos, even though his stats may not, if you look at it individually, you say to yourself, you're looking for, signs that the person has made a lot of upgrades. He is better than what the stats have shown. His plus minus, a lot of growing pains I'm saying like last year's, he had a lot of growing pains as a player going from major junior to the AHL ranks. He's looked a lot more comfortable this year. He's made less of those, shall I say, catastrophic plays. The kind that end up in the back of your net. So he's been a much steadier player. And overall, the defense of the Iowa Wild, which is still primarily made of Wild drafted players, so you have Jack Peart, you have Ryan O'Rourke, you have, who am I forgetting here? Carson Lambos. Sometimes Kyle Masters, David Spacek. Yep. But those players have played better this year overall as a group. There still hasn't been one that's really emerged as a big scorer. I mean, I think David Spacek's the leading scorer defensively.
27 points. Yeah,
so he has. Yeah, but I mean, they've played better as a group, so there has been some improvement, even though the team's likely not going to make the playoffs again. So, again, is that you would like to see this team getting opportunities to play in the postseason? I mean, I feel bad for the Iowa fans more than anything, because like we said with the Minnesota Wild season ticket holders, it's no different for the AHL people. They're buying tickets each game to see a team that, like we said before, is the Murphy's Law team. What can go wrong, it will go wrong. And the one year they had it all, right? When they had Jerry Mayhew, Brennan Minell, and Capo Caco. You literally had three award winners. You had the MVP, the best defender, and the best goalie. And what happens? COVID-19.
Yeah, everything gets ruined. Then they can't play.
And then how could they anticipate that? No one could.
It's depressing.
And it's no fault of their own. That's just the world. And that was probably their best chance to probably ever win a Calder Cup, but alas, we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. Like 94 Montreal Expos, it's stuff like that. Yeah, they were the best record in the league, and then the stupid strike happened. Oh, that's sad.
But I mean, there is some there. The point though is that there is some hope there.
I agree.
I do know that Chase Woodsky got signed to a professional tryout. Now that his season with Red Deer is over. He is in Iowa. I don't know if he's going to play. They didn't seem to think he was, based on the broadcast I heard last night. Ben Gislason, who's the voice of the AHL Iowa Wild, he kind of said that they didn't expect him to play, but he's with the team. So, maybe a couple more of those major junior guys if their seasons end early. Like, I don't know if Stevie Leskovar. I'm guessing his team might be in the playoffs. He's another guy, of course, we just signed to a deal as a big stay-at-home defenseman who is plenty feisty. He might make it his way to the team. And again, that's an element that the Iowa Wild don't really have on their team either. They don't have kind of a scrapper. Now, mind you, the AHL isn't nearly as rough and tough as it used to be. Where teams would, carry basically a goon or two to thug it up. Well, the closest thing Iowa had is they had a guy named David Merrick, who I think they signed as a college free agent out of Ferris State. And he was a bit of a scrapper, but he's been out of the lineup for weeks. I think he's been hurt. But they don't really have a guy that looks to scrap a lot on their team.
Just kind of a general skill and all of that, hoping to outplay the opponent. Yeah, like one story I've always kind of been admiring from afar is Davenport, Iowa's native Luke Toporowski. He's a +5. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. From Bettendorf.
Yeah. I like him, Luke Toporowski. Yeah, but
he's been a good local story for them. When he scores, the team wins. And he has reasonable skill. He's at times struggled to be healthy. Like, that's, we've been talking about as much about the Minnesota Wild and the guy needing to step up. That's kind of what Iowa is needed.
Yeah, somebody.
Like, it's who's going to be the hero tonight? You really don't know. Like, Travis Boyd's probably been their most consistent player. The Hopkins native.
Yep. At least points-wise,
Travis Boyd. Yeah, but he's been their most consistent player. There just hasn't been enough from the other guys. And they've had some, like I said, the whole team is very streaky. There are moments where Graham Clark looks fantastic. There's moments where Caden Bankier or somebody like that will have a good game. But it doesn't happen consistently enough for them to have been a winner. And that's the frustrating part, because that's kind of been the story for Iowa for a long time.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's been a lot of ups and downs, of course, and more sometimes ups outnumber the downs, but not in Iowa, I guess, like a song might say in the old Robin Hood on Disney. Not in Nottingham. Yeah, like certain like certain little stats we could kind of look at just for fun real quick or just like progress, you could say, as you were saying, is like Carson Lambos being a -2. That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. Compared to last year, like a huge one in terms of plus minus. You felt terrible for the guy. What was he like in the -30s last year? Was Ryan O'Rourke? He's -8, which isn't, obviously still not anything special. Pickering, Ontario native at 22. 3 assists. Was it 2 games ago, I believe now, and 1 point behind last year.
Against them.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, he's been playing a little bit better as of late.
Yeah, I feel good. It was -30 last year. That's what it was. Ugh. At the end,
Yeah, well, everything last year was terrible for him.
You know what's oh my God, I didn't realize this. His first full year with Iowa, not the half year, like the year where he got signed, whatever. His first full year, he was a +10. Him being Ryan O'Rourke anyway.
When that was during the COVID year.
22, 23. This one.
Yep, wow. because what ended up happening was the OHL didn't play.
Yep, that didn't help. Yeah.
So he was available to play for the Iowa Wild.
Yeah, it was an exception.
And even though he was they all didn't, because the what keeps them out of the league is a rule that's designed to protect the junior ranks from being pillaged of their older players.
Yep.
And because there was no season, there was nothing holding him back from playing with the Iowa Wild, and he actually, like you said, he comported himself really well. That's why I think a lot of times when he finally, of course, aged out of the OHL, everyone was hoping that he would just kind of pick up where he left off, and it hasn't worked out that way.
It's too bad. Like a lot of people saying he's probably not going to be an NHL player, but I guess you never know, but probably not. Yeah, the odds are against him for sure. You hope it's, and you have crazy stories like, like Nikita Nesterenko wanted to get his 4th goal last night, I believe, with Anaheim. That was kind of interesting to see. He's been in the NHL. Nikita Nesterenko, I wouldn't have thought that.
He's a lanky, skilled player.
Tall, yep.
He's he was a late pick. If you remember, that was back during your BCHL coverage over at Minnesota Wild Prospects. He was like our lone BCHL guy. You remember that back in the day, the kid out of New York City.
That's right.
And then he, makes his way to Boston College and has reasonable, does okay there. And, the Wild, trade him as a deadline kind of deal. And, he's this person that's got good hands.
He's definitely been, at least he's got something to work with, and, it's opportunity, and it's knocking, as they say. Anaheim obviously is not a very, they're one of those teams that's rebuilding or rebuilding, as the Timberwolves used to say. You keep rebuilding. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, definitely encouraged with with some of the players in Iowa. Obviously, some steps forward, some steps back, this and that. Any other big prospects we should dive into? Obviously, Zeev Buium, yeah, that could be in the college conversation. Charlie Strummel, guys like that. Um, Michael Milner, yeah, that's Iowa, of course. Jack Perch kept his plus minus
I
real low. Yep, go ahead.
think the only other one that I've heard that is a bit interesting to see how it
Mm-hmm.
plays out is Kalen
Yeah,
Parker.
okay.
He is not signed by the Minnesota
Oh,
Wild,
that's right.
unlike Riley Heidt and Rasmus
Mm-hmm.
Kompalainen. Both of them have signed contracts with the Wild, so they, we have them. It's just a matter of, them getting an opportunity to go and play here or with Iowa or whatever eventually. But Kalen Parker is a player that they're wondering if they're going to tender an offer to. He's had a pretty good season. I think he's with
Yeah,
Calgary
Calgary Hitman, and he's a
with
plus 40.
with the
Oh,
Hetman.
the other Hitman. He's a
Yeah.
plus 40 with 28 points. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So, but I mean, the team has a huge backlog of defensemen right now.
A ton.
I mean, so the question is does his skill set compel you to offer him a contract? Because that's just a lot of D under contract. I mean, you got almost 6 that are currently playing in the AHL or ECHL right now. You now added another with Stevie Leskovar. So again, those spots are limited, and one that's not under contract but will be, of course, is Zeev Buium, who
right around the corner. Yeah.
You just really wonder if he'll spend any time in Iowa or not. But again, we'll save that for the college talk.
It's coming right up here. Let's see about any other major prospects. Of course, obviously Danila Yurov. Wasn't he hurt for a little while?
He has a broken foot, so he has not been playing.
That's a big thing. Yeah, sorry.
So I would say that puts the kibosh on any thought of him joining the team late in the season kind of deal.
Well, hopefully next fall. Next fall he'll take his talents to St. Paul or Iowa. I guess hopefully St. Paul. But of course,
it's hard to say. Probably very dependent on whatever happens.
But it's really hard to say. You never know. He might even be well, I don't think he'd be in trade talks, but with this team, you never know. I hope not. Liam Ogren, yeah.
Well, the only reason you mentioned the trade talks, that might only come to play if there's a deal that sours and he says, well, I'm going to go back and play in the KHL.
Yeah.
I'm not playing in Iowa.
That would suck.
But we've seen what Karen has done before when players have decided to go back home.
Yeah, he just says adios. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's fine.
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, it's one of those. I get coughing fits. Watching me swallow around on this grape thing here. No, sorry, that would suck. Yeah, that's true. I mean, guys have wanted to, deal sour and then they end up getting traded. So hopefully that's not the case with Yurov, but definitely a talent that we're looking forward to seeing. One of those MNW prospect guys that we love very much. Kaprizov was that. Yeah, sorry. Hope you're okay. That's Joey's fault. So no, I'm just teasing you. That's Bill Guerin when it's negotiating contracts about no move clauses. It's like, no, fine, I'll do it. No. I guess we can jump into the college ranks. Yeah, so we might as well hop into that. What have I done? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. No, it's okay. So Minnesota Gophers are basically, you could say we're basically the number 5 because like we're the we're the number 2 seed in the bracket where the number 4 is the number 1. Blah blah blah. Number 4 team in the whole tournament. Boston College versus Bentley. So a very expensive car is going up against Boston College. See if they'll pull off some Holy Cross miracle or Yale miracle. Well, we'll see. They won their turn. They won their. Sorry, they won their.
The Atlantic Hockey.
Yep, the Atlantic Hockey Conference, and made their first ever tournament appearance. Providence and Denver are in the same part of that bracket. Steve Bulliam right there. Brennan Duhame of Providence, formerly. I'm just kidding. But that was it was a fun prospect to keep up with. Maine, which might be my team coming up here with against Penn State, so they made it. UConn, not the basketball team, but the hockey team going against another Connecticut team that we all are way too familiar with 2 years ago. Quinnipiac. Ouch. Neither one of them are.
The Battle of Connecticut.
Yep, the Battle of Connecticut. The Battle of the Hawks and no, the dogs versus the cats, I guess. Unfortunately, dogs usually win in that case. No, usually, of course, I like cats more, but that's because I'm a nerd, I guess. Sensitive one. Michigan State with our guy Charlie Schrammel versus Cornell, and then you have the Big Red, right? And Boston U versus Ohio State. Ohio State, lots of Big Ten representation here. No Michigan, I guess, because they weren't too good. I keep getting them mixed up with the basketball team, which is really dumb, but I guess that's how I am sometimes. This is the exact path. Yeah, people talked about this. Potentially the exact path the Gophers had 2 years ago when they went to the championship game, at least coming out of the bracket. UMass, Gophers versus UMass, and then potentially Western Michigan. But unfortunately, we're not the higher seed this time. Beat Western Michigan, whatever. As long as they survive against Minnesota State, you go to the Frozen Four. So very briefly, should I just say picks, or maybe just go with very briefly? I guess I'll say Boston College over Bentley. Yeah, doggone it. I'm hoping Providence over Denver. Yeah.
I'm actually kind of interested to see Bentley versus Boston College, just because, I mean, it's just like a lot of Atlantic hockey teams because they're not given the automatic. Well, they're given an automatic bid, but it's literally like they're automatically like the worst. They're the lowest seed because teams typically don't schedule the Atlantic Hockey Conference
matchups.
very much. They don't. So they get butchered in the pairwise. So they're kind of an unknown, right?
Yep.
You know,
never know. Uh-oh.
And well, you just wonder if you're going to see Bentley, because let's face it, no one has expectations. So are they going to play the most desperate hockey in the world, or are they going to be kind of like a deer in headlights, just happy to be there and, you know, then trounced and overwhelmed by a team that is polished and battle tested like BC, you know?
Yeah, it should.
To me, those are dangerous games because like no one has a book. No one has a book on
Yeah,
them,
it's extremely dangerous. Something could happen, and I kind of hope it does. That'd be cool. That'd be nice. It'll eliminate potential competition if the Gophers have any hope of putting 2 or 3 games together, which they have shown zero ability to do so. That's why I'm not super confident in them winning it all. I'd love to see it. I guess Phil Mackey on Score North picked the Gophers to win it all, so we'll see. Just for those little predictions.
That's all. Well, I have my picks here because I have a bracket challenge. I guess I should have said this before.
Yep.
If you'd like to join, you can check me out on Twitter. The password is CAS1701 and join. There's Joey has a bracket there. Should be a lot of fun. It's free. So you're just playing for bragging rights. That's all you're playing for.
Yeah, just for fun. Just kind of like most of them. Yeah, which is good. I don't have it up in front of me. I should, but I probably remember. But yeah, I do believe I have. I think I did have Boston College in there, unfortunately. No, yeah, I did.
I had Boston College beating Bentley.
Yep. I did have Boston College going to the 4. Yep. So basically, I think I have Providence. Yeah, I had Providence over Denver, and then on the other side, I definitely have Maine over Penn State and Quinnipiac over UConn. Quinnipiac again. So basically, Boston College and Maine will be representing from, well, two opposite sides, potentially going to a championship game. I do have, yes, I do have the Gophers over UMass, so I think they're almost certainly going to win tonight. And I do have Western Michigan beating the horns up, whatever, out of Mankato. Because they've been the bane of the Gophers' existence, along with about three or four other teams. And the Gophers getting to the Frozen Four, because I think they can win this bracket. I have a very strong feeling about that. Afterward, I don't know. Otherwise, on the other side, Michigan State over Cornell, Boston U. Yeah, I think it's Michigan State, Boston U, going to their regional final with Boston U knocking out Michigan State. Believe it or not, that should be a pretty significant upset. So my Frozen Four is Boston College against the Gophers, which is basically a death nail. We never beat them. Boston U versus Quinnipiac. I think I'm doing this right. No, Boston U versus Maine. Maine over Quinnipiac. I never said that. Sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
Maine. And then Maine versus Boston College in the final, and Maine as your national champions. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
My Frozen Four is
Nice.
Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
I just think, well, Rand Pecknold has shown that team, even though no one's heard of the guys on their team, really, that they are tough to play against. They play hard, and that's perfect for one and done hockey. It's not about winning a series. It's about winning on that night. And I just think that they'll beat Maine. Maine hasn't been there in a while.
It's true. Yeah.
And even though Maine is good, I just think that one and done, Quinnipiac will be a little more calm in that situation because they've been there before, at least recently. Then I have in the Manchester sectional, I have Boston College advancing.
Yep.
And then in Fargo, which is the Minnesota bracket, I have Western Michigan getting there.
That's okay.
I thought they looked pretty good in the NCHC final. Alex Bump, the kid from Prior Lake, is an absolute horse, and he can score at will. He is just a sniper, and he really played a big role in their win against Denver. That really impressed me. And then Michigan State, I think this is their year.
Ooh, whole enchilada.
I think, well, and it's not just because of Stramel. No. I think that they are a team that is pretty well balanced, and I don't know. I think that'll take them there. So I have 3 1 seeds, and then Quinnipiac being the Cinderella, so to speak.
Oh,
in the Frozen Four, and then between Quinnipiac and Michigan State, I have Michigan State advancing, and then I have Western Michigan beating Boston College. So you have NCHC versus Big Ten, and then Michigan State is my national champion.
Versus Western Michigan going all the way, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, and all Michigan won.
That is cool. It could happen. For some, I just have felt positive about the Gophers versus them, but I'm probably, we'll see. We'll see, because I know how the Gophers, they can't even put 2 good games together throughout like half of the season, especially late. Just drove you nuts. So if they win, it'd be.
We're just under 3 hours. We're just under 3 hours to puck drop for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, hop on.
If you're gonna get those picks in, you're gonna have to get in real quick.
And I better get this show up too. And I had to monkey around with the music because I'm getting some complaints now all of a sudden from Spotify about some of my Mega Man music. So I had to get some.
Really?
Isn't that ridiculous? So I have to get.
That's
I'm really
crazy.
mad. Yeah, it's stupid. Capcom. So I try to dig up some remixes, and hopefully that's okay. Is that risky? Hopefully it's okay.
I don't know.
Hopefully
we bought. For our show, we'd never told anybody this, but we bought like royalty-free music.
Oh, wow.
And that's not that wasn't cheap.
Oh, it's expensive.
They're like $90 a song.
Oh my god.
So we have 2 songs, so that's $180.
Oh my God. So who knows, huh?
Hey, that's life in the podcast world. If you do it otherwise, you risk like you said, the copyright issue or as it used to be on YouTube, they take it down because of that, or they demonetize it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So that kind of sucks. Yeah. It's like I had to throw that in there.
We're not even looking to make money,
No.
so that's just us throwing money at it so we have a song that we don't have to worry about.
Oh Lord. Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I did ask for permission to the person. We'll see if they respond to me or not, but we'll see. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it my best, I guess, and hopefully it's okay. Because it's like the same. Yeah, they're basically copying a song, just changing it around a little bit. That's kind of how I look at it. But we'll see how.
Preaching to the choir,
Yeah.
man.
Yep. For real. Yep, so there's our tournament. The fan interaction is going to be very brief because I did not put out a bat signal because I figured we'd be going back and forth for a while. So, and I'm
Sure.
limited for time. I'm probably just about out of time, unfortunately. So these are both responses to the poll about Matt Boley. So him being Matt Boley, Morty at N Star fan says he needs to grow into his man body. And then Emin Johan responds with, "You are not wrong. We are sitting at the last Wild game. We were sitting, sorry, that's my bad, at the last Wild game and literally said the same thing. That is a big frame that can be very dominant when and if it fills out." So yes, that's a lot of, yeah, I think that's 1,000% true. And then Tom Hand responds with some rhetoric that surrounded, Chaz and Jordan. Big body, small game. Moldy, he calls it moldy, Tom Handiker. I like the nickname Silver Bishops and Moldy has a clearly more offensive skill than Chaz or Jordan, but that must be Charlie Coyle and Jordan Greenway. But for whatever reason, the Minnesota Wild big forwards tend to not use the size. Moldy's game is almost all perimeter. Yeah, there you go. Yep, there it is right now, and that has to change. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing it pretty well.
Yeah. My only thing about him bulking up at this point is, he's had, like we said before, he's not an 18-year-old kid. He's had time to strengthen his frame and do that, and some players resist that because they think if they get big, then they'll get slower.
Yeah.
Which, or whatever it is, I've heard basketball players tell me that. I've heard guys who are wide receivers tell me things like that. Sorry, can't get huge.
Or like shooting form.
It'll help you. It'll help you, to be stronger. When have you ever heard somebody say, I would only do it if I wasn't so strong? No one ever said that.
Like look at dare I say, regardless if I'm a huge fan of his or not, I'm kind of been back and forth on the guy. Look at this 40-year-old LA Laker player that I forgot his name. No, yeah, it's like he's 40 years old and he's still, maybe it's copyright if I say his name on the show too, but no, I'm kidding. 40 years old and he's still playing like he's, 33. I don't know, like an aging player still, but you can see he's still strong. He's lasted for eternity. It's a combination of health and strength. Brady obviously was a lot of health stuff, and he was strong too. Tom Brady winning Super Bowls in his, 40 plus range, which has only happened one time. He did it, and he legitimately did it. It wasn't luck or like he was riding the coattails of the 85 Bears or something, Yeah.
But that's why, before going back to our previous conversations, that too is also a mentality.
Yeah.
A player either does that or not. I mean, Charlie Coyle was strong. He was actually, you could tell he was physically strong, but there just wasn't that attitude to impose his physical will. He just didn't have the mean streak, or whatever it might be, to say, like, you know what, you're not stopping me. And some people are built that way. Theo Fleury, barely 150 pounds soaking wet, but that guy would go through a brick wall for you.
It was a winner
because he had a giant mean streak, but he would throw every bit of his 150 pounds to get through that net, run through the goalie, and score.
Yeah, absolutely. And like,
there's something to be said for want to.
Like
and that's not something that can just be told.
It has to be in your heart. Yeah, like one quick ultimate example, maybe we'll wrap things up right around here, is that, and I'll give you the last word, is except for my closing like bye-bye stuff, but is ultimate example is a guy by the name of Michael Jordan. He was kind of a thinner guy. He would run into a wall called the Detroit Pistons, who beat the living you-know-what out of him. He finally he bulked up, as he got into his upper 20s. He got stronger. It didn't screw up his shot. It didn't make him slower. And he he swept the Detroit Pistons and won 6 championships in 8 years, only because he retired for 2. 6.
Yeah. And the rest is history, right? He became the legend.
Yeah, ultimate legend of anything. Yeah, ultimate legend of sports. He got stronger. Yep. He wasn't like Reggie Miller stayed skinny. He got probably for the same old. Yep, and he has no rings. Yep. Good player, but stayed skinny. And well, yep. That was unfortunate. So, any last words you might have? You can mention your show and your Twitter and all that, or X, even Blue Sky, stuff like that. Yep.
Well, I guess the only thing I would just say is, again, well, apart from us, I guess, us recording a show, I mean, there's that part. Again, we appreciate everybody that chimes in on polls and does a lot of that. We've really just enjoyed the interaction just from you guys, from people sharing their opinions, because
isn't that fun?
Kind of like, and again, well, the point I'm making is I kind of feel like I like passing the mic around, and I feel like when you share the mic with me, it's your way of passing the mic around a little bit, and I think that's what separates us from, listening to Worst Seats in the House or the Bar Down Beauties or whatever, is that we more regularly share the mic with other people and have those voices shared. We'll learn a lot about, I think, what to expect or not expect from this Wild team and how they handle these last 10 games, whether mentally or physically they're just going to completely break down to they don't make the playoffs, or whether they really dig in and maybe show us that there's fight, that they are ready or preparing themselves mentally for the battle that'll be the playoffs, or will we kind of expect it to be an appearance in the playoffs and of course a quick exit.
The SOS, same old shit.
Pretty much, yep. So again, I just want to thank you for having me on. It's always great to kind of have I guess it's really kind of become an annual spring break show.
It's like our spring break special. I'll probably call it something like that. And then, of course, hopefully we can have some more as well during the season and off season and such. And it'd be fun to go on your show sometime too. I know I've been kind of lazy about that, and I apologize.
Oh, it's okay, but the invitation's always open.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. Yeah, because it's like, sometimes it's like in the summer, I'm like, or whatever it is, or like a stupid overtime picks up on me, and this time of year.
And the lawn stuff.
And the lawn stuff. I might be retiring. I'm kind of in the flurry level. I'm either in my last year or next year's my last. This year's my last year. That type of thing.
It's like me in football coaching.
Yep. We're kind of at that old swan song. I'm gonna title the episode right now: Spring Break Special 2025. There you go. I just typed it in. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Done deal.
There it is. That's and
thanks again for having me on, man. It's always
great. Yeah, thank you also. And it's awesome. I enjoy our conversations, and you're a great friend also. So you've been very supportive of the show for since we met, and it means a lot. So just want to give you that huge shout out for forever.
I would say I feel the same way.
Yeah,
feel the same way, and that's the cool thing, I guess, about really podcasting in general, is the people you meet and the friendships that you would not have had otherwise, because your lives wouldn't really necessarily connect for the other reasons, like, your job and my job are in completely different fields and different parts of the country.
Yeah. Yep.
And because of a shared interest, in this case hockey or video games,
retros, yep.
you end up meeting these people and you share a lot of things in common with, and that's part of the fun journey of it all,
It really is. It makes a huge difference, and I'm grateful because I've been an introvert most of my life. I'm kind of shy introvert kind of, but this kind of helps bring out more of an extrovert side, So it really does, and then we could really show our personalities and our passions right here as we talk live or recorded or however.
Yeah. Long live Skype recorder.
Long live Skype recorder. Yep. As this is probably, unless we suddenly have another show in the next month or so, this is probably our Marc-Andre Fleury swan song for Skype, unfortunately, on Brave the Wild, which sucks. Which sucks. Now we have to figure out what's next.
No. Is go-to meeting ready? It's our Volstead.
Here it comes. Yep, that's our Volstead. Please go to, please. Can you stop a couple of pucks for us, please? Please, down in those minor leagues so he can get some confidence and bring you up here. No doubt about it. So thanks again, Derek. It's been an awesome pleasure. And, well, we will talk to you sooner than later for sure. Can't wait to be on your show when the time comes. I want to thank all of you out there as well that have been loyal to the show. And, M&W Young Guns always giving you a huge shout out, also known as M&W Prospects, of course, Minnesota Wild Global, great Facebook page as well. So huge shout outs to you guys and gals out there. Thank you and God bless.